Following the not guilty verdict, President Obama addressed the issue of race in America in a speech on Friday. Here are a few highlights.
There are very few African American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very, very few African American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. Each successive generation seems to be making progress in changing attitudes when it comes to race. Doesn't mean we're in a post-racial society. It doesn't mean that racism is eliminated.
Now, joining me with a closer look at the issue are President of San Diego's NAACP, Lechala Wilson, and community activist Brian Pollard. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lechala, how are people here reacting to the outcome of the Trayvon Martin case?
Well, we have seen marches. We've also seen vigils. I believe that Sunday night there was one at North Park, followed by one at the Balboa Park by the fountain, and NAACP San Diego was involved in that. And then on Saturday, because, well, Al Sharpton actually called a 100-city protest or march or rally.
And people in San Diego participated in
yes.
that. Did it surprise you, and basically this sort of response, San Diegans joining in on this, or was it expected?
It was expected, and I probably would have been disappointed had they not. And I mean, everyone was watching the trial. There's strong feelings both ways, and I think it's nice as long as if they want to, I don't really like using the word protest, but if they want to have a march and a vigil showing, yes, so there's pleasure with the verdict, but also asking for the Department of Justice to look into filing federal civil or criminal penalties, and also for a civil trial.
Progressing the case a little bit forward. Now, Brian, the president talked about, we saw in that clip, that he himself has experienced people locking the doors, crossing the street, basically fear as he walks down the street as a black man before he was president. Have you experienced anything like that?
Absolutely. Growing up here in San Diego, as well as going to college in Louisiana, certainly experienced it. The difference between the experiences in Louisiana when I was in college was it was more overt. And what I've experienced here in San Diego, and again, native San Diegan, and have gone to a variety of different schools, both black and white. It's more of a subtle sort of racism, but I have experienced the elevator scenario when he brought that up. In fact, I still do from time to time, is when I get into an elevator and there happens to be a lady that is there, the clenching of the purse, the one step away from me, and the anticipation, shall I say, for the door to open up when it's just she and I in there. Yes, so I have experienced it.
I was going to follow up. Does this still happen? Does it happen often?
For me, now that I'm a little older, maybe I'm more of less of a threat, perceived threat. But I've seen it with kids in Fashion Valley, and when there's more than one or two African Americans or Latinos, I've noticed just in observing the reactions of certain people, yes.
Well, certainly San Diego is diverse. We have a mixed population and also very transient with the Navy. How do you think that influences racial attitudes here? I
think the diversity is going to scare a lot of people moving forward. I think that the conversation that I've heard is there is a shift in the demographics. Caucasians seem to be the lesser of the population these days, and even in District 4, our district, African Americans are not the quote-unquote predominant racial entity any longer.
Okay. Well, Lechala, what do you think some of the obstacles are on moving forward, on progressing or finding solutions against racism?
I think some of it has to do with politics, and you know how they say power concedes nothing? And that's the obstacle, is that people who are in power do not want to give up their power. And so until we get more people engaged in the political process, or people understand that we can all work together, then I think that would help. But people are in fear, and they don't want to give up their power base.
Well, there's certainly a whole lot more on our website about this and some possible solutions and moving forward. Lechala Wilson and Brian Pollard, thank you so much for coming and talking with us today.
Well, you're very welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.